Wavecrest Adolescent Community, which is what we call our program here, is part of Santa Cruz Montessori School here in Aptos, California. We're a 7th, 8th, and 9th grade program, so equivalent to what would be a junior high in a more traditional sense. While we do have the standard academics of science, math, foreign language, where we study Spanish, humanities, art, we're not all about academics, but we're about the whole child. I'm talking about addressing their emotional development, their psychic development, as well as their academic development. They're at that point in their lives where they're trying to establish a vision for themselves, a place for themselves in their community. And to do that, they need opportunities to try out different things. We need to build for them an environment where they feel safe, because this is clearly a time developmentally of hesitations, of doubts, when the narrative that's going on in their head is everyone must be talking about me, everyone must be thinking about me, and the world is revolving around me. So it's important not to fight that, but to realize that, and to build an environment where the me is accepted for who the me is. Once the me feels confident and secure and safe, then what's to stop that person from exploring the history of cars or fashion or dive into the quadratic equations, right? They're feeling comfortable with themselves. So understanding where they're coming at from developmentally has an impact. I feel like what we do here is we teach adolescents. And teaching adolescents means you need to know who the adolescent is and where they're coming from. So key things for them are realizing that even though they're biologically going through some changes in their brain neurologically, hormones are going, the growth is happening, that's exciting, right? It's really exciting to watch them, to see them from one year to the next change dramatically, and to acknowledge that. And by acknowledging that, they feel acknowledged, and then of course comes with confidence.
Try and get the top and like just rotate it, like flip it.
Comes with, wow, I'm accepted for who I am. So then you layer on the academics, or you layer on some other piece of real life for them.
We call ourselves Wavecrest Adolescent Community. And what's exciting is that word community. So we see ourselves as not just providing academics for the students, but understanding their stage of development, where they are, that they are what Maria Montessori called social newborns, that they are getting ready to enter the adult world, and that they have certain needs at this age to prepare for that. So we provide those experiences here. We strive to work together as a community of adolescents and adult guides. And the guides keep in mind, first and foremost, the development of the adolescent, their psychological characteristics and their needs. So we guide our instruction, our activities, our lessons based on that. What I find interesting and exciting about Maria Montessori's view is that she believed that if you provide the environment necessary for the child's needs at that stage of development, that the learning happens naturally. We know that they're craving to do adult-like work, that they want to experience independence. We have a level of respect for the students and expect the same, and we have high expectations. We expect they will rise to the occasion and, with guidance if necessary, take responsibility. We also know that they're going through a lot of changes physically and emotionally, And so we know that we need to be guiding them and in a protective way, giving them that independence, but not abandoning them. So we're right there with them.
The Montessori philosophy is really based off of adolescents being at a farm, building community and building social structure for themselves so that they could become better people. So here at Montessori, we have implemented our farm program that we farm at once a week at Live Earth Farm. And with our farm program, we incorporate all of the disciplines. We incorporate math, art, humanities, Spanish, and science. And with the science, not only do we cover the foundations for 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, and even 9th grade science, so that would cover elements of earth science, properties of life science, introduction to biology, chemistry, physics, and then as some 9th graders stay, we do regular biology, health, and environmental science. So they'll be ready for high school biology, they'll be ready for high school chemistry, and that just builds a foundation for them so they'll be successful. Within the 2 to 3 years that we're here, we have a lot of freedom to cover those topics, but also we have room to learn other things that maybe you wouldn't have time to cover in a public school. We have the freedom to explore and learn things that are of interest to the students. We do follow state standards. I mean, I know the state science standards. I taught for almost 12 years in public schools. Yes. So our goal is ultimately to prepare the students for adult life, but really we're trying to prepare them for high school since we go through 7th, 8th, and or 9th grade. Sometimes we have a 9th grade program. The students that are here are eager to learn and they want to continue to learn and they're interested in lots of different things, and that's sort of the culture of the Montessori program.
No, it worked. It turned out okay, well.
Very inquisitive, very hands-on. So with that and moving through curriculum, you can cover a lot of material and meet the needs of each student, whether they're interested in something more in depth, understanding more about, last year we had a student that was really interested in protein synthesis. Well, I don't really cover that in depth. I mean, that's sort of a high school topic, but because the student was interested in that, we were able to go more in depth with protein synthesis. So there's that freedom. And if there's a student who struggles, say in science, or who needs extra help, then I know who those students are. I know my students who need help with their study skills. I know students that need help with their organization. And teaching them organization, how to use a planner, keeping track of their homework, advocating for themselves is all part of what we do here at Wavecrest in terms of getting them ready for high school.
The academics are a big part of our environment, but if you went to public schools and you talked to a lot of teachers and you asked them if they could make a major shift and they could do something differently, what would they want to do? And the school that I worked at before I came here, everyone said they would like to focus more on the social, emotional end of things with students. And that tends to be the last thing that gets covered. And I feel like that's something big that gets covered here. And it's in some ways easier to manage because it is a smaller environment, but the students get tons of opportunities to interact with each other, interact with their teachers, and just sort of get a sense for how those things work. And then you hear all the time that when our students leave here from other schools that they're always so well prepared. And part of that is, I think, being comfortable with themselves, being self-directed learners, being self-motivated, and that tends to take care of itself after that. My student last year that I had for geometry, I emailed at the start of this year to ask how she was doing. She said, yes, my teacher said I might be over-prepared, which is okay. One of the other things I really like about working here is typically you have 2 years with a student, in some cases 3 years with a student, which in contrast to my experience working in public schools, you get 1 year and they're gone. And my experience is usually by the end of the year I was starting to really make sense of what they needed and how they best worked. So I mean, you can imagine 1 year as opposed to 2 years is gigantic. I have flexibility to slow down if they're not getting something. I have flexibility to maybe even speed up if they are getting things. We're giving them an opportunity to extend their understanding so that they have a deeper understanding, as opposed to just sort of firing through lessons where they get this surface level. And when they're getting that surface level understanding, I think it's harder for them to make connections between all the work. And the reality is, the stronger the foundation, especially with something like algebra, the stronger the foundation they have in algebra, I feel like the more successful they're going to be as they move through math. All those students grow up building the binomial cube and taking it apart, and they're even given lessons where they're shown how to represent that algebraically. But I would say at that point they really don't have the context for what that means algebraically, and then they get over here and we're doing all this work with algebra, and it's not until I point it out I could say, hey, remember the binomial cube? And they'll say, yeah, so I'll go, this is the binomial cube. And then I can show them it algebraically, and it's like, oh, that's what that was. And they can make those connections, and they start to realize, oh my gosh, this is what's going on. This spring, Jill and I are taking the students to Great America. There's a physics day. So we're gonna go there and get a chance to really see the physics at work. And I could sit up here and show you physics equations, and I could talk about it, but they're gonna understand it when they see it right in front of them. So we'll be doing a physics math day. Force equals mass times acceleration. They really get their hands on things, and they get to test things out and see how they really work. I mean, it's obviously a pretty fun place for the kids to go, but it's purposeful. There's the educational bit brought in, and there's also the fun part. They'll eventually get to do the rides and whatnot. So much what happens in the Montessori environment is it's collaborative work. They would say that if anything, the teacher shouldn't be the focus of this work. It should be the students are the focus of this work. You go and look at public schools now, the curriculums that they're implementing for Common Core are moving away from sort of teacher-centered focus to student-centered focus. And it's sort of the same idea, it's all collaborative work. I think there's lots of research there that shows now that students learn better in a collaborative environment as opposed to just being told everything by the teacher.
What makes Spanish language learning different here at Wavecrest is that we integrated it throughout the day. So students receive formal instruction in the language with me in this classroom, but then we use the language outside of the classroom all day, at any time. I am the native Spanish speaker among the adults, but the other adults know enough of the language that they can support my instruction and also support the students in their learning. So students may hear Spanish at any time during the day from any of the guides.
So, entonces, escribe la tarea, por favor.
So the language, I feel here, the foreign language is authentic to them. They understand that it's a tool for communication, that it's important, that you can use it, that it's alive. We are aware of what the students are talking about in their different classes. So I will ask them about what they're doing in science or in humanities, but in Spanish, and give them that vocabulary and maybe tell them a little bit about what I know about it in Spanish.
¿De maíz o de harina? Maíz.
De maíz. So there's integration and a lot of awareness of what we're doing as a whole instead of each of us just being in our classroom doing our own thing.
La última vez que preparaste una comida.
Something very unique to Wavecrest is that we have a student exchange with a sister school in Morelia, Mexico. So once a year we receive 3 students from Villa Montessori, Morelia, and they come here and live with Wavecrest families and they attend classes. And in turn, we send 2 or 3 of our students to Morelia to live with a family for about a month and attend classes all in Spanish over there. And this has been a great benefit. Students who participated in the exchange have received a boost in their ability with the Spanish language. And they've also had the opportunity to experience independence and come out of their comfort zone, stretch themselves, challenge themselves, and also gain cultural awareness and understanding. So this is a very unique opportunity for students who come to Wavecrest.
As an adolescent, art is essential for their creative expression. What Wavecrest offers is this opportunity to really dig into themselves and their identity and be able to express all of the emotions that are emerging as an adolescent in this creative form. In the art room, the authentic self comes out in this creative choice making. So really, I think of creative expression and the art room at Wavecrest as it's a psychology course. It's a deep area of looking into our personal authenticity. We're not thinking, how far is my child going to go with their art career in middle school? We're thinking, what's it for and how does it supplement other areas of study? So creative expression helps them visualize and conceptualize and form geometry and in some sense algebra. There's constantly this drawing or painting that is a metaphor to an experience that's happened, or it's a metaphor to a concept that they're trying to tackle in another area of study. Thinking also along the lines of theater and drama and how this also ties to mind-body coordination. So that's essential. I think that we're losing that in a lot of ways, and you'll see it in humans' postures, you'll see it in the way we express ourselves. If we lose touch with that kinesthetic, like mind to tactile experience, then we lose a part of humanity in a way. Through art, I want to bring students in touch with both mind and body and unify that. What I'd like for the students to take away from projects such as Zentangles is a personal ownership over their own focus and ability to get into a meditative state, a kind of go-to to step out of the world and just go inward and be able to focus on what the present moment is. It's emotional stability in some ways, and it's self-control in other ways, and it's also a moment to just sit with whatever it is you're feeling at that time without reacting, but being able to hone it in and focus on a particular activity. So another thing that the art rotation does is we are part of this integrated cycle of microeconomy, health and wellness, and field studies. In the winter, we're working on encaustic art. So we're taking the beeswax that's actually here at the farm into our paint that we use in encaustic. In the fall and a bit in the spring, we create labels and design banners for the farm stand. And so we work with microeconomy directly in that way.
My name is Kevin Devaney. I'm a full-time professional poet, and I teach exclusively here at Wavecrest. What I really love the most about this program is it not only teaches these hungry young minds about the basics of what are elements of poetry, how to read poetry, and gaining the appreciation for that art form, but also just in terms of cultivating a mindset of self-expression, and even on top of that, to find tools for public speaking and tools for how to become eloquent about the ideas you have about really anything. The elements of poetry and the elements of speech are present whenever there are words present, which happens in pretty much every industry. So I hope that my students take what they learn with me forward with them to become more confident speakers, more confident expressors of the ideas that they have, and to be able to craft a beautiful sentence as an inherently valuable thing. Every single time we do a writing exercise, there's always a chance for students to share what they've written. And one of the big things that I stress in my classroom is giving attention and respect to anybody who's sharing. All of my students, after anybody shares, we all say thank you together. It takes about a week and a half of getting used to for the new students. But the really interesting part about having this multi-year structure is that I have students who have done my class before modeling the behaviors of my expectations in the classroom. It's a really beautiful thing.
At Wavecrest, we have a microeconomy group, and that group is in charge of 2 small businesses. One is the pizza business, where we provide school lunches every Wednesday to the lower grades. And another business is farm stand. and the farm stand runs every Thursday afternoon at our school. And those two businesses provide the students with opportunities to do real work and at the same time understand the workings of production and exchange and the works of a small economy. They need to organize themselves in groups to get these tasks done. And a lot of those tasks require communication among themselves and collaboration. And when they do those tasks, many issues arise. Sometimes unexpected things happen when they're delivering pizza or when they're setting up for farm stand, and they need to work them out.
What are you doing? You put the plates on the tables.
All those are opportunities where they can realize what they're capable of doing, and it's giving them an opportunity to learn something about themselves as individuals, but also as they're working in a group. The microeconomy just gives them a basic understanding of sales, cost, profit, and they learn some basic economic concepts.
When the students open up the farm stand, what they've done in preparation is they've learned about wholesale and retail. They've learned about where the food comes from. So when someone comes to the farm stand and asks them about the food, they can talk about the quality of the food. But they can have a sense for that whole production and exchange. And the joy of having a customer come and buy a bunch of carrots or a butternut squash, or maybe even better, a product that not only came from the earth, but a product that they've made. So they're taking honey from the beehives that they've cared for these bees and then extracted the honey and then sell the product. What a sense of pride there is for them, and to be able to sell that honey knowing that they put a lot of work into that. It's not contrived. They were there. They put on the bee suit. They took out the bee frames. They extracted the honey and then separated the wax from the honey, and then they jarred it and created the labels. It's their work, and it's very valuable work. I think given those kinds of opportunities, bleeds right into the world of academics, where they become proud of their work. And that's what motivates them, is the pride in the work that they do, not, am I getting an A, am I getting a B, have I met Tom's threshold of what he thinks an A student is. For me, a student who's working at the best level that he or she is capable of, that's the environment we seek here. I believe and have seen it happen when a student has come to the school from a background where humiliation or shame or cynicism was the operative word in the environment, completely turn around and start with a sense of distrust when they arrive here. But because there's such grace and honesty and confidence that the staff have and that the students have, that almost becomes a catalyst for helping that person to find a new vision of himself. One where there's not cynicism, one where there's a sense of positivity, one where there's a sense of, hey, these people really care. So it's not to say that teachers or guides in other environments don't care for their students. Oh, I'm sure they do, very much so. But everything about this environment, everything about Wavecrest Adolescent Community is about community. It's about helping one another to become fully who we are. And as guides, the preparation of the environment is about preparing an environment where there is that kind of safety, where a student can explore, make mistakes, and know that he or she will be supported. Giving them an opportunity to explore an area of their interest, they develop a sense of, I am capable. I have the ability to be able to explore, to research, to develop my writing skills increase my Spanish fluency, my math skills. And there's an excitement for them that comes with that. And they feed off of one another. What's exciting is we don't give grades. These students aren't working for a grade. They're working because they love what they're doing. They love what they're doing because it gives meaning.